Speaker preference.
Because, yeah, it took some time, but now we're ready. We'll just start. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Vedic Vision Society. Today we are going to talk about getting to know you. And it's a multifaceted topic. First of all, because the you is not clearly identified. So you think like, oh, who is the you that I'm getting to know? So we're going to divide this discussion into three parts. You, like ourselves. You, like the object of our relationship, because in a relationship, there's always two or more parties. And lastly, how we can deepen that relationship with us getting to know ourselves and getting to know the other side of that relationship. Make sense? Okay. So in the exercise of getting to understand ourselves, I was in a little bit of a equation style mood, so you'll see a little bit of a recurring theme today. I like math a lot. Don't really use it, but I still appreciate it. And to understand ourselves, it comes down to our sense of identity first. And we can look at it just as generically as identity equals our activities and outlook. Hey, nice to see you again. So if X, then Y. Make sense? So what are some examples, just taking this kind of framework? If I am a, let's say, student, what are examples of my activities and outlook? Oh, this marker's bad. If I'm a student, what do I do? What do I care about? Sleeping? IIT is not a party school. Sorry, okay, if I'm an alum, what do I? If I identify myself as an alum, maybe this will resonate more. What do I care about? What kinds of things am I doing?
Working.
Wait, okay. Okay, so working. Nobody can speak to the student life. This is shocking. Studying, okay. One more example.
Networking.
Networking, or which one?
No.
All the above?
As a student.
The what?
Yeah, as a student, like networking is one of the.
Okay. You get the idea. So how I identify myself and how each of us identify ourselves influences the kind of things that we care about, that we pay attention to. So if I say, I consider myself a compassionate person, then things that I might value are patience, listening, empathy, and so on. And so when I start to identify myself in those terms, then naturally I start to seek out people, opportunities, situations where there is compatibility with those activities and that outlook on life. Does that make sense? Okay. So there's an impact not just on what I do and where I gravitate, but also it affects the kinds of relationships that I find fulfilling, right? So if somebody is really into studying, then chances are they'll associate with people that share that like mind. So you kind of fuel one topic that came up the last few weeks is the association you maintain influences your trajectory. Way of saying it is, if you want to become a millionaire, hang out with a bunch of millionaires and you'll be the next one. So if we're talking then about identity and the activities, the big word, the D word, dharma, starts to come into the picture. So if I'm saying that identity shapes the kinds of situations that I'm in, the kinds of things that I like to do, a logical question is, well, there's so many aspects of my identity. What is it that I am supposed to do? How am I supposed to understand what takes that place of identity? And that's where dharma, defined as the intrinsic quality of something, comes into play. Some examples in this kind of trippy image. The intrinsic quality of fire is heat. If it looks like fire but it produces no heat, is it fire? If I say something is water and it's not liquid, is it still water? No. It'd be ice, exactly, or it'd be steam, not water. And similarly, the dharma of sugar is sweet, exactly. So when we're talking about dharma and ourselves, what is that intrinsic quality? What does it mean to be human in this human form of life?
Obeying the ethics and moral, being kind, empathetic.
Okay. So empathy, kindness, set of values.
Serving others.
Serving others. Okay.
Depends on what you identify as and at what level. Like the same thing, like if you are as a human, you are identifying as a student, your intrinsic qualities, student studies. If you are identifying as a father, for example, your intrinsic quality would be to take care of your children.
That's an interesting idea. Although, can we say that the dharma of fire is situational? No. So the way that we're establishing dharma is that it's something that is going to happen regardless of, let's say, stage of life. Other thoughts? Okay. So the idea is service. So we could say some of us are aspiring to serve God. Some of us are aspiring to serve our professors. Some of us are aspiring to serve our bosses. Yes?
If it is intrinsic quality, would that bring us back to an older discussion that things that is unavoidable is birth, death, disease, and old age?
Things that are
unavoidable.
Okay.
So that would be birth, death, disease, and old age. Would those be unavoidable?
That's inevitable with the body. But we're talking about a characteristic that is deeper than the body, that is not the body, that is on the level of the animating force, the soul.
Same thing could be said about fire as well. Eventually, fire will also get extinguished.
Yes. But then it's no longer fire. It went away.
Can you consider it to be the things that someone values the most? Like I don't know, like for someone, if they value their family a lot, or like certain qualities about themselves that they like look for in whatever they do, like kindness or growth or like self-development or something.
That's definitely an influencing factor. So what we're talking about, a set of values here, influences unto whom or what I repose my tendency of service. So as an example, you're talking about valuing my family. What does valuing my family look like? How do I express that? What kind of, and you can add what you like to that. But how do you express your family value?
like I guess like always like maintaining that connection with them and like talking to them and like considering their opinion and like always like keeping that relation strong.
So it's an open relationship with, I'm guessing there's also a lot of reciprocation in that relationship. They're happy to support you and you're happy to support them, and it's like that, right? Yeah. So that in that case, that value and that expression of it is based on some kind of exchange. I am giving something, they are giving something. And underneath that is a current of love, right? Does that tie the ideas
Yeah,
together?
that definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Can there be short-term dharmas and then defining dharmas? It seems like that the use of the word dharma can be a little bit nuanced in that sense, at least from how I've heard it used. So I just wanted to ask that question.
So you're talking, for example, maybe more like varnashram dharma
Yeah,
type of thing?
exactly. Or you have certain duties at different points in your life that are your dharma. It's still called dharma. That are, like you brought up the idea of being a father, that is your dharma for a while, right? Still, that the use of that word can be a little bit, I don't know.
There's always the idea, regardless of like large kind of, I'll just go back to the last one. There's always the aspect of service, even in those, let's say, more short-term responsibilities, because let's say, as a father, I am serving my children. As an employee, I'm serving my boss, I'm serving the state shareholders, I'm serving fill in the blank. But that situation of service is not forever. But that example of, we'll say that innate quality of the soul is still there. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to add or comment on anything on that?
No, I mean, basically what you're saying, like service is an intrinsic quality of the human soul. I mean, a soul in a human body.
Yeah.
Right.
Now that's a nice point that you're bringing up as well, that the nature of the soul is service, and the soul is not unique to this human form, but the human form is unique in our ability to express that degree of free will, to be able to choose our masters in a way. Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Everyone is serving others. I mean, in first instance, it may sound that the owner is serving the dog, but there is a different aspect. I mean, the dog is not serving the owner. Owner is serving the dog, like arranging his food and bringing outside. So essentially, both are serving each other. So I would say the essence of the life is service. Either to directly to the human being or the animal, or to the Lord. And I remember one of the story by Russian author Leo Tolstoy. The essence was service.
Yeah, it's natural. Can we think of any situation that we're in that doesn't involve service?
When you're enjoying something.
I was hoping somebody would say that. So let me ask you this. If I'm enjoying something, what is being served? Yourself, but why do you enjoy it? Like a little, fragment the idea of myself a little bit. So like, what about you is enjoying it? Okay, your mind, maybe some of the senses are also enjoying it. Yeah, the body. So even if I'm not serving somebody else or something else, I still am able to serve my body. I do this because it brings pleasure.
What about ignorance then? If someone's just running away from something, or they're just, they don't have the intellectual capacity to understand that they are in ignorance, but they're still, in a sense, not doing anything. It could be with respect to any situation, but like total absolute ignorance. Would that have a component of service even to any aspect?
Service is always there, though our ability to express it is not always. So let's take somebody, if we're going in that direction, somebody that's in a coma-like state. What is that soul's ability to express in that body? It's very limited. But that tendency for the soul is still there. Just the vehicle to do anything about that desire is not there. It's like having a vehicle, but the engine failed. But, does that get at what you're saying, or am I missing it?
Yeah, it's something like because you asked for an example where you don't see service. So I thought about this. Ability would matter.
It does.
On the situation.
It definitely does, yeah. Because even we could say that people that are revived from a coma-like state go back to expressing that mood of service in different ways. So if given the opportunity, we do it. Do you want to add anything?
I was just saying, like, it depends on it, like you said, if somebody's in ignorance, so maybe they're not taking their studies seriously or what have you, right? So they're serving something. So maybe they're drinking alcohol, still serving something, right? So that they're serving themselves. Their expression of service is in the mode of ignorance. Just like our service can be in the mode of passion, and our service can be in the mode of goodness, or then our service could be the ultimate dharmic service, which is God.
I like that as in the word self-serving, right?
Yes. Yes.
You're not serving somebody else, you're self-serving.
Yes. We're good on this idea.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm in.
So we talk about if I'm a servant, let's say that my innate nature as this soul expressed through this human form of life, if my nature is servant, what is the then statement? Like, for example, we talk about service to God, service to Krishna. What does that mean? Like, what does that then statement mean for us? Ideas?
I mean, like, listen to and obey your spiritual master or guru.
Okay. Are you okay if I refine that to follow instructions? Okay. Because I get what you're saying, but it comes across a little draconian. Like, do what I say. Not like that. Okay, what else does my identity as servant look like?
Surrender.
Surrender? Okay. And what does that mean? Huh? It is. What does surrender mean? Hold up a white flag and say, I give up. I'm beaten.
Just believing in
Okay. So faith. Okay, so if servant, I have a certain degree of faith. This marker is also failing. Sumitra always had this big spread of wonderful markers. Faith in what? Because maybe that could be a whole other topic of discussion, but in short, faith is there regardless of where it's reposed, but we have faith in something.
In the process?
Okay. I saw one more hand. Maybe two more.
You're asking the qualities of a servant.
Yes.
Humility, compassion, and love. I mean, if the servant doesn't have all these qualities, he cannot serve. If he doesn't have this master.
Okay.
As a quality of a servant, they want to please who they're serving, which means that they're intentional about getting to know who they're serving and pleasing that person.
That's beautiful. Intentional about knowing the person or object of service. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. If, let's say somebody, your boss gives you an assignment at work, or your professor gives you an assignment, and they specify what you deliver me has to be in this format, and I need it done by tomorrow. Well, I could give the most wonderful, beautiful deliverable 2 weeks from now, but I didn't follow the direction, the guidance. And if I give it in a different format because I think, oh, this is better, that's against the ideas of the quality of the servant. Because in its absolute highest state, the quality of the servant is placing the pleasure, the satisfaction of the served above my own desires, my own wants. Now, just a little bit of a tangent. Like, let's even just take the whole spiritual aspect out of the picture for now. If everybody in this world operated in a mood of service, what would this world look like?
Heaven.
So there's this story that I find it kind of humorous. So there's always these battles between the demons and the demigods. And the demons were complaining to Lord Vishnu of like, you always favor the demigods. Why are you always so partial to them? You know, you created us too. And so Lord Vishnu said, oh, I'll show you something. So he took all the demons and the demigod leaders to this big banquet hall kind of a place. And he had prepared this big feast and then told all of the demons, okay, you can eat as much as you want, but before you do that, demigods, you tie boards to their arms. And so the demons went into the room, you know, they were like, oh, wow, a lot of great food. And then try this if you want afterwards in the dinner. See how well you can eat with stiff, straight arms. And so the demigods were all laughing, like, these people are ridiculous. And then the demons, they were pretty upset and messy. And they said, okay, let's see you do better. And so the demigods, they got their arms tied with boards, and they went in, and you know what happened? They fed each other, exactly. Same situation, same constraints, totally different consciousness. The demons, they couldn't think beyond, how can I satisfy my own senses? The demigods, when we serve together, we win together. Thoughts? Oh, okay. Huh?
I just agree to.
Oh, okay. So I want to drill more into this point about intention, about knowing the person or object. So taking it back to the idea of the spiritual process, this journey that we're on. And it's really nice to know that we're not alone in asking this question of, well, how can I serve? What does that even look like? Because Arjuna, the hero of Bhagavad Gita, we have a few if anyone wants, asks the same question. He asks, how can I think of you and how can I know you? He's asking Krishna, how can I be a better servant, a more intentional servant of you? And this is how relationships can really start. When we open ourselves up to that possibility, to that degree of, I'll use that word, surrender, meaning I am open to hearing and understanding what is pleasing to you, to the object of love. Because that's really what we're talking about when we're saying getting to know you and talking about the quality of service. It's really about how do we go on that journey of having a loving relationship. Because without service, without listening, love is impossible. Agree with that? Okay. Stay tuned. So it all starts with hearing. And then whatever we hear, we speak, we share, because when we speak, what we hear becomes real. It's kind of like this amazing situation where the more that you share, the more comes, the more you internalize, the more that you can remember. How many of us have been in a situation where on an exam, something we thought we knew, we totally blanked out? I've done it many times. How many of us find an improvement in our ability to remember when we do this in combination? We study, we tell other people about it. Yeah, it's no coincidence that people who tutor, for example, tend to do better on exams because you're forced to internalize it in a way that you're able to explain it so that somebody else can hear and understand. So it's beyond just the textbook, the theoretical, and it becomes real for ourselves. In this Vedic process, it's the difference between jnana, or knowledge, and vijnana, realized knowledge. So we're going to then talk a little bit about Krishna. So in terms of getting to know Krishna, developing a relationship with Krishna, we've had some fantastic presentations on what it means to go down this path, how to get started, how to incorporate it into our lives. So I want to spend the remainder of this just to understand Krishna a little bit better. There are secondary names of Krishna and primary names of Krishna. Secondary, more like the attributes, and primary related to the Leela, or the pastimes, examples of secondary names of God, the Almighty, the All-Powerful, the All-Just, talking about qualities of God. A higher degree of intimacy are the primary names, those that relate to pastimes, Leela. So for example, Rasabihari, or Yashoda Nandana, the darling son of Mother Yashoda, Gopal, Krishna as the cowherd boy. And we can even just take that idea and apply it to our own lives. How many of us have very, very close friends that we have nicknames for? Yeah. And those are names that are given out of intimacy and familiarity because we've been with those people, in very, let's say, open, lighthearted situations where we feel a genuine connection. They understand us, we understand them, and so we have a certain license to call them by those names. Now, Krishna, his pastimes are unlimited, his names are unlimited, but what I'm getting at with this is their degrees of intimacy. There's relationships with Krishna in the mood of awe and reverence. We can think of it as there's the, let's say, the nation's ruler, and there's a big crowd of people, and all the crowd of people say, we love you, we love you, we love you. But the degree of relationship intimacy is not very strong. But there is a relationship. And as we move more toward the primary, that indicates a deeper quality of familiarity, of love, and of a capacity to serve in a way that is very unique and special for that person or object of love. So the name Krishna, the original name of God, Krishna means all attractive. So that's like the primary of the primary names. And I want to share this story to just talk about how naturally attractive and how that relationship can just start with this process of hearing. So how many of us know the story of Krishna and the fruit seller? Okay. Some of us, yeah. Oh, okay. So this is when Krishna was a small, baby, his infant, toddler kind of age in Vrindavan. And already the whole town of Vrindavan was in love with this boy named Krishna. And there was this fruit seller. And she had never seen Krishna, never met him, but she started hearing all these people in the village talking about Krishna and how wonderful this boy is. And so she thought, oh, wow, I have to meet this Krishna. He sounds so wonderful and adorable and charming, and fill in the blank. And so she takes a different route. She goes to the home of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda and calls out that I'm selling this nice fruit and come get your fruit. And so Nanda Maharaj goes out with Mother Yashoda and Krishna sees the fruit and he's in love with the fruit. So he grabs some grains of rice because he saw his father in the past trade grains for different products. So he knows the drill. So he grabs some grains of rice and he approaches her, and he just, by the time, what's a toddler's capacity to hold rice, not to mention ours. By the time he gets to the fruit vendor, it's just like a few grains of rice left in his hand. And she's so charmed, so melted by this, that she says, here, you can take all the fruits. And at this point, I think his parents had gone inside because I don't think they were witness to this. But the fruit seller goes and she sees that her whole basket of fruits that he didn't take had turned into these fabulous jewels, like an amazing source of wealth. And you know what she did after that? She just left it. Because she was so satisfied by just that small exchange that all of her material desires were completely gone. She was just in love with this small boy named Krishna. And that was just from hearing about him that set her on this journey, this life-changing journey. And so we have access to that too. This is not something that is restricted to stories. We're invited to be part of this. That's the really cool part. There's this book, Krishna book, where if you want to learn more about Krishna and his pastimes, highly encourage you read it. It's freely available online as well. There's one part of it that talks about when we are far along in the spiritual path, that we actually take birth in a planet in the material world where Krishna Lila is physically happening before we go back to our eternal place in the spiritual world. Who knows? Somewhere in a different universe, somebody could be reading about Alok in the Krishna book. So I find that amazingly inspiring. And the really beautiful thing about this is just this emphasis on relationships. So I chose these two because for those of you that joined for the Mahavatar Narasimha movie, started with Varahadev and Hiranyaksha, and then co-starring Narasimhadev and Hiranyakashipu. And many of us are familiar with this verse in the Bhagavad Gita 4:8, which is that Krishna is explaining he comes every now and then to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. A question might be this: did Krishna really have to come? If this is all Krishna's energy, I don't think Hiranyakashipu protected himself against heart attacks and strokes. He could have just come in that way, right? He didn't have to physically come. So why did he do this then? The answer is he wanted to reciprocate with his devotees. So what's not shown in these, let's say, more Hollywood-worthy shots is before Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha, he arrived on the scene and he first took his devotee Mother Bhumi, planet Earth, took her out of the ocean, even though Hiranyaksha was just shouting at him, saying horrible things. Didn't even mind. He was there for his devotee, the one that absolutely loves him, serves him, and completely depends on him. Put her back exactly where she belongs, and only then did he deal with the demon and kind of flex his muscles. Narasimhadev, to reciprocate with his devotee, and to prove his statement in the Bhagavad Gita that my devotee never perishes. And that also looks like a really nice hug. So by hearing about these pastimes, by studying, by sharing, just meditating on them, we're invited to be a part of that. And then I just took a bunch of quotes from the Bhagavad Gita. You can look them up later if you're interested, where Krishna repeatedly makes promises of if we repose our natural tendency to serve unto Krishna, unto his desires, into alignment with, let's say, the larger devotional process, this is what you can expect. Krishna repeatedly promises, you're never lost to me. You will never be vanquished. There is always victory. What other master that we serve, including our senses, can make these kinds of promises? It'd be challenging for even one of them to come close to being fulfilled. It's not possible. And so with that in mind, why wouldn't we want to go down this path? It can be very challenging. There's so many things that we are battling against. Lifetimes of conditioning teaching us to rely on what I can directly perceive, what's quick, what's instant. But one way that I've heard it put that I've absolutely loved is the fact that we're all here means in our millions of previous lives, we didn't get it quite right. So we're just being asked, in this life, why not try something a little different? Because one definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. We've been millionaires before, trillionaires, billionaires, whatever. We've been broken on the streets. We've been top echelon educated. We've been completely ignorant. We've been cockroaches. So Krishna is just asking us to become devotees. And the cool thing is, especially in this current age of Kali Yuga, like in the Bhagavatam, there's a verse that says, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there's still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, an incarnation of Krishna, but not just Krishna come to slay some demons and, reciprocate with devotees. This is Krishna in the mood of his compassion, Srimati Radharani, combined as the standard-setting devotee. So this is Krishna himself by example, showing us the way to properly serve, to be intentional about knowing the person or object of service. And this is what it looks like. And this is also what it looks like in different degrees of maturity. And that's also a nice tie because next Tuesday, March 2nd, is Lord Chaitanya's appearance day. So he had firmly established this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as the fastest and most direct way to be reestablished in that loving eternal relationship with Krishna. So you're invited for that celebration. It's on the north side at the ISKCON Chicago Temple. If you're not familiar, see anybody, any of the officers or myself or whomever, we can help you understand where that is. And to get that experience also, has everyone chanted before or some new faces? So just wanting to make sure. Okay. Let's take this idea, this mood. We'll transition to the kirtan. So Girish is happy. Where did that cursor go? And just ask, when we're singing, I really liked your ad of a mood. So this is the mood that we can carry into that kirtan. So not necessarily to confuse us like, okay, read it, but just take that feeling of dependence, of wanting that help to be in that relationship, infuse that feeling into the kirtan, and just see what happens. Okay? All right. You're all still with me with your heads up. Thank you so much.
Krishna Krishna
Thank you so much. Thank you all. So we'll need a couple of people to help with the dinner service. And then, thank you, Siddharth. And then also we'll need a couple of volunteers to tie boards to everybody's arms. And I realized I forgot the tie-in for that. So the point that Lord Vishnu was making with that is the difference between the demons and the demigods isn't anything inherent in like or dislike, it's their own mentality. That was it. But thank you. So well done.
One of your best ones ever. It was. No, you're not. Right here.
Log out everything.
Yes, I will do that.